Hello everyone, welcome to the second part of the video dealing with the chapter The Mysterious Picture. In the last class we came to know about the central character of the story, Mr. Tile, who is a painter from Flanders who wander from one court to another in search of food and for a job. And finally he reaches the doorstep of the court of the Archduke of Battenberg. And he could impress the Archduke with his painting of the Virgin, Our Lady, the Virgin. This is where we stopped in the last class, and now we are resuming from where we stopped at page number 12 to today. So today we will be discussing page number 12. Let's go to the first paragraph there. So the Virgin's picture was a splendid painting, and the Archduke made up his mind at once. He embraced and kissed him on both cheeks. He said, "I shall be delighted to make you my card painter." He directed him to the chair and made him sit on it. "Well, my dear fellow," he said, "you do have a tongue in your head, and you certainly seem to know how to use it. You are a very talkative fellow, aren't you?" So we said in the last class he submitted or presented before the Archduke the beautiful, the splendid painting of the Virgin, Our Lady. Here the Virgin stands for, the picture here, it stands for the Saint Mary who was considered as a virgin according to the Christian dogma. കത്തോലിക്ക വിശ്വാസം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ക്രൈസ്തവ വിശ്വാസം അനുസരിച്ച് പരിശുദ്ധ കന്യാമറിയത്തെ ഒരു കന്യകയായിട്ടാണ് വിശ്വസിക്കപ്പെട്ടിരുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ഇവിടെ വേർജിൻ എന്ന വാക്കിൻ്റെ അർത്ഥം എന്താണ്? കന്യക എന്നാണ്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ പരിശുദ്ധ കന്യാമറിയം എന്നാണ് ആ ഒരു വേർജിൻ എന്നുള്ളത് കൊണ്ട് ഇവിടെ അർത്ഥമാക്കുക. സോ ദ പിക്ചർ ദാറ്റ് വാസ് ഡൺ ബൈ മിസ്റ്റർ ടൈൽ വാസ് ദാറ്റ് ഓഫ് സെയിന്റ് മേരി, and he submitted it before the Archduke, and he was quite impressed by it. Okay, he was quite impressed. The Archduke was quite impressed by the beautiful, the excellent painting that was done by Mr. Tile. And what was his reaction? Okay, he made up his mind all of a sudden. He decided all of a sudden, without just waiting, without lingering long. He made up his mind. What is the meaning of the expression "made up his mind"? It means to decide. തീരുമാനിക്കുക. ആർച്ച്ഡ്യൂക്ക് ഈ ചിത്രം കണ്ട ഉടനെ അദ്ദേഹത്തിന് മനസ്സിലൊരു തീരുമാനമെടുത്തു. എന്താണ് ആ തീരുമാനം? അത് നമുക്ക് അടുത്ത വരികളിൽ കാണാം. He embraced and kissed him on both cheeks. He said, "I shall be delighted to make you my court painter." So what was the decision made by the Archduke? The decision was this. He decided with great happiness to appoint Mr. Tile as a court painter of that palace, of that court of the Archduke of Battenberg. He embraced him. What is the meaning of embrace? I've just given the meaning below. Embrace means hug. ആശ്ലേഷിക്കുക, കെട്ടിപ്പിടിക്കുക എന്നുള്ളതാണ് ആ വാക്കിൻ്റെ അർത്ഥം. അപ്പോൾ വലിയ സന്തോഷത്തോടുകൂടി ഈ ചിത്രം കണ്ടതിൻ്റെ അതിയായ സന്തോഷത്തിൽ ആർച്ച്ഡ്യൂക്ക് എന്താണ് ചെയ്തത്? ടൈലിനെ വാരിപ്പുണർന്ന് അദ്ദേഹത്തെ തൻ്റെ ഔദ്യോഗിക ചിത്രകാരനായിട്ട് അവരോധിക്കാൻ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ സ്ഥാനാരോഹണം ചെയ്യാൻ തീരുമാനിച്ചു. അദ്ദേഹത്തെ തൻ്റെ ചിത്രകാരനായിട്ട് നിയമിക്കാനായിട്ട് ആര് തീരുമാനിച്ചു? ആർച്ച്ഡ്യൂക്ക് തീരുമാനിച്ചു. He directed him to the chair and made him sit on it. You know, already the seat of the court painter was vacant for last few weeks just because of the death of the official court painter. So the velvet seat, decorated velvet throne, was quite vacant for a few weeks and few months. So here, you know, the delighted, the happy, extremely happy Archduke appointed and anointed Mr. Tile as a court painter and placed him and guided him onto the chair of the official court painter. And see the dialogue along with it. "Well, my dear fellow," he said, "you do have a tongue in your head." What is the meaning of your tongue in your head? Here the expression "the tongue in your head" stands for the modest, humble and flattering way of speaking of Mr. Tile. You know, Mr. Tile had a gift of gab. He was a capable person who could speak in a modest and flattering tone to anyone he spoke to. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ വളരെ എളിമ നിറഞ്ഞ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മറ്റുള്ളവരെ പ്രീതിപ്പെടുത്തുന്ന വിധത്തിലുള്ള ഒരു സംസാര ശൈലിയായിരുന്നു ആരുടേത്? ടൈലിൻ്റേത്. അപ്പോൾ ആ ഒരു എളിമ നിറഞ്ഞ പ്രീതിപ്പെടുത്തുന്ന സംസാര രീതിയാണ് ഈ ഒരു എക്സ്പ്രഷൻ അർത്ഥമാക്കുക. ടങ് ഇൻ യോർ ഹെഡ്. And you certainly seem to know how to use it. He knew how to, make use of his ability to speak, to impress others. And see, here we have an example for a question tag, which we'll be dealing with. We'll be discussing after the discussion of this class. We'll be discussing it in another important class. You're a very talkative fellow, aren't you? Okay, you're a talkative fellow. You're an able person who could use his tongue, for impressing others, for you know for for making others feel happy, feel impressed, feel fabulous about him. So he was quite a talkative fellow who spoke in a modest and humble tone. So we have just already discussed what is the meaning of embrace. Embrace means hug. ആശ്ലേഷിക്കുക എന്നാണ് അതിൻ്റെ അർത്ഥം. Let's move on to the next page, the fourth paragraph here. Your Highness, may it please you to remember me and my donkey Jeff for just one more minute. Tile replied. See, here we come to know the name of the donkey on which he was traveling from court to court. He called his donkey as Jeff. അദ്ദേഹം യാത്ര ചെയ്യുന്ന കഴുതയുടെ പേര് ഇവിടെ നമുക്ക് മറ്റൊരു കഥാപാത്രമായിട്ട് നമുക്കിവിടെ മനസ്സിലാക്കാവുന്നത് കഴുതയാണ്. അതിൻ്റെ പേര് ഇവിടെ വെളിപ്പെടുത്തുകയാണ്. ജെഫ് എന്നാണ് അദ്ദേഹം യാത്ര ചെയ്തിരുന്ന അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെ സന്തത സഹചാരിയായിരുന്ന കഴുതയുടെ പേര്. And see, what about this donkey Jeff? What happened to him? We can see in this paragraph. My donkey has been feeding himself fairly well all along the way on the thorns in the hedges and the grass on the roadside. As far as the donkey was concerned, he was able to just nibble, or maybe was able to munch whatever he got on the roadside. He could just munch the grass, the thorny hedges that was on the roadside. I've just given the picture of thorny hedges that was on the roadside, to the destination here, that is the palace of Archduke. So the donkey was able to feed itself to an extent. Okay, fairly means to an extent. ഒരു വിധം എന്നാണ് അർത്ഥം. ഒരു വിധം അതിന് വഴിയിലുള്ള പുല്ലും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ മുള്ളുള്ള കുറ്റിച്ചെടികളും എല്ലാം ഭക്ഷിച്ച് ഒരുവിധം അതിന്റെ വിശപ്പ് മാറ്റാനായിട്ട് ജെഫ് എന്ന കഴുതയ്ക്ക് സാധിച്ചു. But what is the case of Mr. Tile? See, it is depicted here. But I have had nothing to eat for the past 3 days. But what is the condition of Mr. Tile? Mr. Tile was not able to even eat a bit of food, or maybe a morsel of food, for the last 3 days. He was hungry and he was starving for the last 3 days. കഴിഞ്ഞ 3 ദിവസമായിട്ട് ടൈല് വലിയ ഒരു ദുരിതത്തിലൂടെ കടന്നു പോവുകയായിരുന്നു. കഴിഞ്ഞ 3 ദിവസമായി അദ്ദേഹം ഭക്ഷണം കഴിച്ചിട്ടില്ല. വലിയൊരു വിശപ്പിന്റെ വേദന സഹിച്ചുകൊണ്ടാണ് അദ്ദേഹം കഴിഞ്ഞ 3 ദിവസം യാത്ര ചെയ്തത്. And see, it is expressed in detail in the coming lines. My stomach has been complaining very loudly. Perhaps your highness can even hear enough. He has been complaining for the last few days with pain. Maybe he was suffering from the pain of hunger. And see, I have been feeding myself with dreams of good food and drink at your royal table. So as far as Mr. Tile was concerned, he was just dreaming of having something lavish, something rich, something quite fabulous in the coming days. He was dreaming about good food, about consuming good food for the last few days altogether. And see the reaction of the Archduke. The Archduke smiled and said, "Well, my dear fellow, you will certainly have something more solid than dreams to feed on. But where is your donkey?" See, as far as the Archduke is concerned, he said, "Okay, just leave aside your dream. Now you are at my palace and you will have something material, something real to eat and drink." ഇപ്പോൾ എൻ്റെ രാജ്യസദസ്സിലായിരിക്കുമ്പോൾ ആ സ്വപ്നമൊക്കെ മാറ്റിവെച്ചേക്കൂ. നിനക്ക് ആവശ്യത്തിന് കഴിക്കാനും കുടിക്കാനുമുള്ള ആവശ്യത്തിനുള്ള യാഥാർത്ഥ്യത്തിലുള്ള ഭക്ഷണ സാധനങ്ങളും വിഭവങ്ങളും നിനക്ക് എന്തായാലും ലഭിക്കും. But he is inquiring about his donkey Jeff. Where is it? Where is this donkey Jeff? See the reaction of Mr. Tile. I left him outside opposite the palace. I shall be most grateful if Jeff is looked after. He needs a little fodder and lodging at night, said Tile. So where did he leave his donkey, Jeff? He left it outside the palace. And what about this donkey? He is requesting. He is requesting. He is making a humble request before the Archduke to look after, to take care of this donkey. What is the meaning of look after? To take care of. മലയാളം meaning പരിപാലിക്കുക. ഈ കഴുതയെ അങ്ങ് പരിപാലിക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ഞാൻ ഒരുപാട് നന്ദിയുള്ളവനായിരിക്കും. He would be very grateful about it. What is the meaning of grateful? Grateful means thankful. മലയാളത്തിൽ എന്താണ്? നന്ദിയുള്ളവനായിരിക്കുക. Okay, he will be very grateful if this donkey is fed for a few days in this palace. And not only that, he needs a little fodder. He does not need much. He does not need much. He just need a little fodder. I've just given a picture where here the donkeys are feeding on the fodder. The fodder here is some hay or straw. കന്നുകാലികൾ കൂടുന്ന തീറ്റയാണ് നമ്മൾ ഫോർഡർ എന്നുള്ളതുകൊണ്ട് അർത്ഥമാക്കുക. കാലിത്തീറ്റ അതിനെ ഫോർഡർ എന്ന് പറയും. So he needs some fodder and a lodging. What is lodging? A place to stay. ഒരു താമസ സ്ഥലവുമാണ് അതിന് വേണ്ടത്. കാലിത്തീറ്റയും കുറച്ച് ഒരു ചെറിയ താമസ സ്ഥലവും. A stable where he can stay for a few days and be satisfied and feel comfortable. See the continuation. The Archduke immediately ordered the donkey to be taken care of, and he added, "Treated like one of my own animals." So what was the reaction of the Archduke? The Archduke wanted this animal, the Jeff, the donkey, to be taken care of as if his other animals in the stable are taken care of. Okay, moving on. Before a long supper was served, and it was like a wedding feast. See, here the feast that was arranged for Mr. Tile is compared to that of a wedding feast. ഒരു കല്യാണ സദ്യ പോലത്തെ വിഭവ സമൃദ്ധമായ ഊണാണ്, ഭക്ഷണമാണ് ആർക്കായി ഒരുക്കിയിരുന്നത്? മിസ്റ്റർ ടൈലിനായിട്ട്, ടൈൽ എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഈ ചിത്രകാരനായിട്ട് ഒരുക്കിയിരുന്നത്. See, the tables were lauded. It was filled with every kind of food and drink. The table was lauded, filled with food and drink and whatever he wanted to eat. Wine flowed like water. See, you can see the picture here, where the table was filled with sumptuous food, lavish food, with a rich table with a lot of varieties of food is seen here. And the glasses were filled with wine, and this wine was poured onto these glasses like as if it was water. So wine, food, everything was there in plenitude. The courtiers stuffed themselves with the choicest dishes. And what about the courtiers? Who are courtiers? Courtiers are the servants in the court. രാജസേവകന്മാരെയാണ് courtiers എന്ന് വിളിക്കുക. And what about the courtiers? They were actually stuffing their plates. They were, filling their plates with whatever food they liked. The Archduke made Tile eat and drink until his stomach was about to burst. And what about the host here? The Archduke. The Archduke was very kind to his guest. He was in the forefront to feed Mr. Tile with whatever food he wanted. He forced him to eat more and more until his his tummy was filled and was about to burst. Okay, so here there was a plenitude of food and drink that was available in this palace of Archduke of Battenberg. Moving on. The Archduke too ate heartily. His face was flushed with drink, but he seemed lost in thought. See, what was a case of Archduke? The Archduke also ate the food that was available there. Okay, he also ate heartily he filled his tummy to the tip of his throat. And see, his face was, his cheek was reddish in color. It was flushed just because of the wine he was drinking. Glasses of wine he was consuming for the last few hours. It was flushed. Or maybe it was the cheek was turning red just because of the wine he consumed. I've just shown a picture of a person with a flushed cheek. Okay, so his cheek was flushed with the wine he drank. But when he was drinking and he was eating, he was lost in some thought. He was thinking or pondering on something. The ഭക്ഷണമൊക്കെ ധാരാളമായിട്ട് കഴിക്കുമ്പോഴും നമ്മുടെ ആർച്ച് ഡ്യൂക്ക് എന്തിനെയോ കുറിച്ച് ചിന്തിച്ച് ആകുലപ്പെട്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. എന്താണ് അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ ചിന്ത എന്ന് നോക്കാം. He suddenly looked up and said loudly, "Our court painter must paint our portrait so that we will have the satisfaction of leaving our memory to our descendants." What was his thought? His thought was this: Mr. Tile, now the official court painter, must draw one of his portraits. I've just shown a picture of a portrait here. Portrait is a picture of a person. ഒരു ഛായാചിത്രം. പോർട്രേറ്റ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഛായാചിത്രം എന്നാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ആർച്ച് ഡ്യൂക്കിന്റെ ഒരു ഛായാചിത്രം ആര് വരയ്ക്കണം? മിസ്റ്റർ ടൈൽ. ടൈൽ എന്ന ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ ഔദ്യോഗിക ചിത്രകാരൻ വരയ്ക്കണമെന്നുള്ളതാണ് ആരുടെ ആഗ്രഹം? ആർച്ച് ഡ്യൂക്കിന്റെ ആഗ്രഹം. Because he wanted himself to be remembered, or maybe he should stay forever, for eternity, in the memory of his descendants, in the memory of his next generation. Okay, he wanted himself to be remembered by his next generation. What is the meaning of descendants? I've just given the meaning here. Next generation, പിന്തുടർച്ചക്കാര്. ഇപ്പോൾ ആർച്ച് ഡ്യൂക്കിന്റെ പിന്തുടർച്ചക്കാർ അദ്ദേഹത്തിനെ ഓർക്കണം എന്നുള്ള ആഗ്രഹത്താലാണ് ടൈലിനോട് എന്താവശ്യപ്പെടുക? അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ ഛായാചിത്രം വരയ്ക്കാനായിട്ട് ആവശ്യപ്പെടുക. We too have to take our place in history along with our noble ancestors whose portraits adorn these walls. So what is his desire? His desire is to be remembered forever by his descendants. He wanted to take a place among the pictures, the portraits of his ancestors, his forefathers, that is kept on the walls of the dining hall. Okay, on the walls of the dining hall, that decorates the dining hall. ആ ഭക്ഷണമുറിയുടെ ഉള്ളിൽ, അതിൻ്റെ ഭിത്തികളിൽ അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെ പൂർവീകരുടെ, ആൻസസ്റ്റേഴ്സ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ പൂർവീകർ എന്നാണ്, അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെ പൂർവീകരുടെ ചിത്രങ്ങൾ വെച്ച് അത് ഓർക്കുന്നത് പോലെ അവരോടൊപ്പം തൻ്റെ ചിത്രവും വെച്ച് അലങ്കരിക്കപ്പെടണം, ആ ഭിത്തികൾ അലങ്കരിക്കപ്പെടണം എന്ന് ആരാഗ്രഹിക്കുകയാണ്? Archduke agreed. Just because his memory should stay forever, his next generation should remember him, should recall him whenever they see this picture. It is sad to think of death. We do not know when God will think fit to summon us, but our portrait should be painted. So he knows that once you're born, you should die. You should die one day. It is a sad thing to even think about death. It is a despairing thing to just think about death. But he wanted this portrait, this picture to be completed, that he would be remembered, because he knew that we do not know the time, the moment when God feels it fit to call us, to summon us. ഈശ്വരൻ നമ്മളെ വിളിക്കാനായിട്ട്, അവൻ്റെ സന്നിധിയിലേക്ക് വിളിക്കാനായിട്ട് ചിന്തിക്കുന്ന സമയം ഏതാണെന്ന് നമുക്ക് ആർക്കും അറിയില്ല. അത് ആർക്കും ബോധ്യമുണ്ടായിരുന്നു, ആർച്ച് ഡ്യൂക്കിനും ബോധ്യമുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ഈ ഒരു ബോധ്യത്തോടു കൂടിയാണ് അദ്ദേഹം പറയുക, എൻ്റെ ചിത്രം വരയ്ക്കപ്പെടണം. എന്തിനു വേണ്ടിയാ? എൻ്റെ വരുന്ന തലമുറ എന്നെ ഓർക്കുവാനും എന്നെക്കുറിച്ച് അവർക്ക് ബോധ്യമുണ്ടാകുവാനും വേണ്ടിയാണ് ഈ ചിത്രം വരയ്ക്കപ്പെടേണ്ടത്. So he wished that his picture to be portrayed by the official court painter, now Mr. Tile, the painter from Flanders. So this is the second part of our chapter. Today we have discussed page number 12. For time being, we are ceasing our class here, and we'll resume with the next page on the coming day. Thank you very much for your patience. Thank you for watching me.